Wonderful. Matthew, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eric?
I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to be back for another season. I know it was up in the air whether or not there would be a second season, but after consulting both of our moms and hearing their high praise, we decided to go ahead and do a second season, and I'm already regretting it. But
Well,
I've never really
thanks.
been able to tell my mother no. So here we are. So how sometimes like a company will create a commercial, and then they'll air it, and like lots of people will see it, but then like they'll stop airing it, and you'll completely forget that they ever aired it in the first place. Sure. And then you like start a podcast about ads, and then you like stumble upon it, and then you're like, oh man, I totally forgot. And so like, why don't we like use that one and watch that one? I found that Miller had done for Super Bowl XLIII. Are we allowed to say Super Bowl? Probably can't say Super Bowl. Also March Madness.
The big game.
Yeah, right. The big game, the 43rd big game, the 43rd consecutive big game in late winter. They had done this thing where they created a bunch of 1-second ads to mock Anheuser-Busch, who was like the in-game like beer ad sponsor or whatever. I don't know, however that works. So what they did is they created a bunch of 1-second ads, and they placed them nationally on local stations during the game. And to kind of like preempt this whole situation in Anheuser-Busch. So they didn't technically buy a Super Bowl commercial like through the network, but they did air these 1-second commercials throughout the country in most markets. I guess in major markets, they blocked it from airing on NBC affiliates that were owned. And again, I don't totally understand exactly how all that works, but somehow they blocked them in the major, like New York, Chicago, LA, like they didn't air there, but pretty much everywhere else. And actually, once we see the campaign, you get a sense for like what their whole shtick is about. It's actually perfect that they didn't air in any of like the big hoity-toity major markets. So it's actually, I think that actually worked to Miller's advantage in this instance. So anyway, so it's all based around this character who we're gonna meet, basically a delivery guy, and played by a great actor who I think you're gonna instantly fall in love with. And though they had begun this campaign a couple years prior, so I thought what would be interesting is to watch just a few of the early commercials that introduced the campaign and the character and the whole concept. And then we could watch a compilation of the 1-second ads that aired sporadically throughout the Super Bowl. Is that cool?
Works for me.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
It's game time. Skybox is right up here in section La-di-da. How's everybody doing? Can anybody tell me what inning we're in? All right, boys, we taking back the high life. See, the high life is about sitting in the sun and watching your favorite pitcher get lit up. Take him out. And they can't even hear me through this glass. Come on, boys. Need to smell me a hot dog or something. Just know I'm alive. Woo! Let me pass out some high life. My little tiny life friend got his work cut out for him today.
It's gonna be easy. Golf clubs, that's a weird way to start a business trip. What happened? First class not first enough for you?
Common sense cross-check. Where you fellas headed?
Cleveland.
But we're in Cincinnati.
Who are you?
We're the guys taking back your high life life.
Do your thing, lady.
This light beer may taste like luxury, but it actually rubs elbows with the regular folk.
Hard-working regular folk.
Hope you guys packed your golden parachutes. Bye-bye. I said golden parachute. I just came up with that on my own.
See, the high life is about celebrating, not separating. We coming for your VIPs, and we ain't the paparazzi. We looking for the little fuzzy rope. How you doing? Yeah, we're not on that. I can guarantee that. Excuse us. Thank you so much. Paying extra money so other people can't sit next to you. You know where I come from, we party together with a good honest beer at a tasty price. Fuzzy rope to make y'all feel more important. Common sense ain't on the guest list. These people know how to do it. That's it. Hey!
So, like, how wonderful is that delivery guy?
Yeah, he's obviously fantastic. I remember these. I definitely remember these. When about did these occur? I know you said
the first series that we just saw was around like 2006, 2007, like in that time frame. And then Super Bowl 43 was what, 2009, something like that. I don't know.
The numbers at this point for the Super Bowls, just I no longer really pay attention.
But anyway, yeah. So 2006, 2007 time frame is when that was all going down.
Yeah, I remember them. Absolutely. I mean, he's a memorable guy, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him in other things.
Yeah, you have actually. It's Windell Middlebrooks is the actor's name. He was in, he played a lot of like small roles in a lot of NBC programs. I know this because I looked it up on Wikipedia. He was on My Name is Earl. He was on Parks and Recreation. He was on ER. He was on Scrubs. He was on one episode of the Bernie Mac show. He was on an episode of Hannah Montana. He was a co-star on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Oh,
what was another? Oh, he even was on a couple episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Didn't he dated Dee for a little bit?
Yeah, and they had like a surrogate baby. I don't know. I'm not actually super familiar with that show, but like I remember reading something about that. Yeah, he was dating someone for a couple episodes, and they had a kid together or something. I don't know.
Yeah, My Name is Earl was around the same time as this, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff. The Parks and Rec episode was from 2009.
I can't picture him in Parks and Rec, and
me neither.
I've seen it. I mean, I've watched Parks and Rec probably straight through 4 or 5 times, Okay. And I can't come up with it.
Yeah. So he's a trained actor. It's what he went to school for. He has his master's in fine arts and performance or acting or something like that. And clearly a talented guy who unfortunately passed away at the age of 36. Yeah. 2016, I think, 2017, something like that. Pulmonary embolism.
Yikes.
Sad. Yeah.
I don't know what to
do
here.
While he was here, he made some very memorable commercials for Miller. And his sense of humor is amazing. I wonder with that, I couldn't really dig this up, but I wonder how much of that was scripted versus how much of what he was doing was just like, it was probably a combination of part script and him just literally just riffing and making crap up as he was going.
Right.
But some of those lines, like the first one with the skybox, he walks in, can anyone tell me what inning it is? Like, what a great, nails the stereotype, right? Like in one line, nails the stereotype, right? Like all of these. I think that's one of the things about all these ads, right? Those, what first class isn't first enough for you? The Miller Lite guy, the High Life Light guy, what first class isn't first enough for you?
Yeah.
We're going from Cincinnati to Cleveland.
Which, no disrespect to Cincinnati or Cleveland, but that does make it extra funny, right?
Well, yeah, right, exactly. But that's the trope, right? Of like the corporate, suit that is whatever.
Yeah, I loved the one in the club with very Jersey Shore looking people, right? And probably around the same time, so it was probably very relatable at the time. And what does he call it? A fuzzy rope or
the fuzzy rope. Yeah, you look for the fuzzy rope, and then he tells the girl at the door, don't worry about it. I guarantee you, we're not on this list. And then, was there some comment about paying extra to sit by yourself? Well, how's he say
sit
it?
By yourself? Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah.
Which really is kind of a silly thing, right? Like you go to a club and then I know you have your friends, but it's a total status thing, right?
Yeah.
And
and that's the whole, like, that is like, that's the punchline for like the whole campaign is like people who have this sense of superiority and they think they're better than other people. So they do these things, right? And so Miller High Life, of course, a beer that probably most people think is pretty pedestrian, right? You know, so so it's just super well done how they get that core idea in there, and they use humor, I mean, very well, and the perfect casting choice to deliver it all.
I still want to figure out who that other guy was in the airplane one.
Oh, the guy who plays the light guy. Yeah. What first class wasn't first enough for you? Yeah, it's such a good line. Hope you have your golden parachutes.
it was that was a good one. I also like, or I don't know if I like, or I like whatever. Because I think it is for those like middle America types, those kind of average Joe types. Miller High Life is a black guy and Light is a white guy. Is that? I mean, like that was clearly intentional. Right? Or maybe not. I don't know. This was before
everyone got woke. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, this is back when racism wasn't a thing anymore. Remember?
I don't know how I should answer that.
You probably shouldn't. I'm
not going to touch that. I'm going to put a fuzzy rope around that and just
look for the fuzzy rope.
Just leave it over there for right now. Yeah.
So there is another spot. Like this campaign has a lot of spots, and there was one, and I don't know if I'm going to assume it was the introductory spot for the Miller High Life Light character, because the High Life Light character and the High Life guy, Windell, they encounter each other at a convenience store. They're both restocking the cooler case at the convenience store, and they have this kind of weird interaction exchange where they're like acting competitive, like they're enemies, you know? So I have to feel like that was probably the establishing spot for their relationship.
Yeah, I'm about to bust some chops. It's the man that took my parking spot. So you the light guy, huh?
Yeah.
Now, does that mean you live in the high life lightly?
Yeah, he just refers to the style of beer.
Oh.
Kind of like differently labeled brothers from the same mother.
So you a metaphorical kind of guy, huh?
One's a little more athletic than the other, though.
Well, which one? You know, because you can run fast, but I can knock you over.
Yeah, but it's awesome. It's an awesome ad too. So yeah, so his character is also a recurring character. There's a spot where, and we'll wrap on this and go into the 1 second ads. Now that we've got a sense for who the character and what the campaign is. But they had a political thing. It must have been 2008 or leading into it, right, where Windell, the High Life guy, is campaigning and he's explaining his political platform while they're delivering High Life. It's like a 2-minute and change video. Of course it's on YouTube, and it's also hilarious. It is so good. So maybe check that one out too. So anyway, so now that we know who the character is and what the concept is, so then Miller said, hey, let's spoof the Super Bowl. Right. And so that's what they did.
Man, did you hear that advertisers are paying like $3 million for a 30-second commercial? That's like $100,000 a second. I don't care how big the game is. Who got $3 million? I tell you what, if High Life had a spot, all we need is a second.
What's that?
That's the first commercial. High Life, that's the second. Sweet deal. Get your some. Wallet loving. Chubbly bubbly. That's one right there. So we could go all day. $3 million.
Oh, man. Right. So that was their teaser spot. And now here is the actual 1 second ads that were broken out throughout the game.
Biz here.
Action and cut.
High Life. One Mississippi. Champagne beers. Miller time. Wojo horse. Football-shaped salami. Pigskin gravy. Bonjour, Milwaukee. Bean dip. Tito's here. Back bacon. Not fancy. Frugal bugle. Hold up. Now, what's my line? Miller. Of the bread. Happy can. Hello, muckety mucks.
Hello, muckety mucks.
I like the national anthem thing because I mean you would assume that coincided during like around that's cool. I was waiting for them to use champagne of beers, and I love the champagne of beers, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
That's cool. My first thought with kind of the teaser, like the lead into it, is first of all, it's wonderful, right? It is very expertly crafted, because a lot of people try to do that and fail miserably. Try to sort of, I don't know if it's like, what do they call it in TV? Breaking the fourth wall or the third, what is, but like talking about advertising in your advertising. Normally, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it typically kind of just falls flat, right? And it's like, oh, I'm being clever by, saying, oh, well, advertise, this is a non-ad, like that type of shit. And it's just like, you know what, come up with a real idea.
Yeah.
But this is great, right? And I think, I mean, it's definitely at least 60% because of Windell, because of who he is and his character, and his delivery is hilarious, right? So I truly appreciate that. I think this is probably the first ad I've ever seen that does sort of that spoof on advertising, like talks about it, that I actually really enjoy. I do want to bring up one other thing. So this is the first time we've done a second ad for a brand. Didn't we do Miller?
Yeah.
Actor Mahdi?
Yeah, wear the fox hat. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I think that might be a lost episode.
Is that the lost? Yeah.
I think that's the lost episode. So we did it, but we don't know where it is.
Shoot. That's my fault, folks. 100%.
It's okay.
I don't know.
Hey, these things happen. We're learning. We're learning.
Are we? Or are we?
I think so. So yeah, but so
you go into your
just a couple things. All right. Just because these ads are so beautiful. When the guy sneezes, that's one. Like that was just like, it was so good. And like, that's the thing though, like really though, that works. You can really do some just outright silly and stupid and absurd things and have it be advertising that's actually effective because you totally know who it's coming from. You got to be careful how you do that because it could be so absurd that you don't know who it's coming from. But the way that they did that, as consistently as they did, you would remember, it's that delivery guy, it's that High Life. Yeah, I know who that is. It's Miller. And of course, the numbers did show that this campaign over time, it helped. They saw a boost when they originally aired the first series of commercials. They saw a boost after the Super Bowl, like a double-digit boost in sales.
Really?
Yeah, following the Super Bowl. Yes, like 13 or 14%, something like that. It's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just so many little things to celebrate about that. And the ads happen so quickly in the 1 second versions, but because we're showing a reel of them back to back to back, I watched it many times and I started to look into the background to see what was happening. And in the background, you would notice that the dude with the electric guitar, he's literally in the back of most of the spots, in the back, behind the banner and the palette, and you can see just his hand on the neck of the guitar playing. If you look in the upper right and left corners of the frame, you'll notice stuffed coyotes or wolves like in the corners, right? Like a taxidermist kind of like thing. Yeah, and there's other props and like there's trophies, like bowling trophies and stuff that are like stacked that are put on the pallets of the cases of beer. And because the colors are similar to the pallets, it kind of doesn't totally stand out.
Yeah.
So
Easter
I mean,
eggs.
you're probably not noticing those things, but I think it's like on a 1 second ad, right? But I just think it's fun that they took the time to do that and actually like work that into the concept and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
I agree. Yeah. Little Easter eggs, right? Just adding to the potential of it. 2008, 2009. Yeah, there's viral videos, but just adding to the potential of it getting talked about, right? Water cooler. Like, did you see that? How did you, like, I mean, literally what you just did, but I can also like picture my dad talking about that type, did you see that there was a stuffed fox or something in the background? Like, I mean, he would talk about it, right? And I love that. That's cool. Adds to just the effectiveness.
Yeah. So well done. On the scale of demanding undivided attention, it does that because you want to see what they're going to do, what they're going to say next, where he's going to be. Even in the 1 second ads, the scene doesn't change. He's in the same spot, but it like, and of course, like undivided attention, like it's a second or two. Actually, some of those were like 2 or 3 seconds. But the point is though, you're glad you're seeing them, right? Yes. So yes, they pleasantly defy expectations, and certainly Ray Sales people were talking about it. And I saw somewhere where there was some commentary that they were noticing that people were actually taking lines from the commercials and they were using them in everyday conversation. So, which is obviously the highest praise. Yeah. Everyone's goal. You can never predict if it's going to happen. You hope that a line of copy does that, but you can never be sure if it will. So, but I guess that was happening. So that's obviously, for sure success.
What's up?
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Very cool. And you sort of touched on it. The fact that they are all the same set, the same person, it does just make it one large ad, right? Like just kind of, peppered through. So I think that's clever. I mean, for me, yeah, wonderful. Is it memorable? Absolutely. I mean, he's memorable. So you want it there, but he's also not just like the actor that you're going to just remember the actor, because he's literally a Miller employee, right? So I think that was smart to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he, sort of becomes the celebrity of it, and sometimes that can take away from the product, right? But he's literally the guy delivering the product.
That is
so memorable.
Great observation.
Boom.
Yes.
You've got that.
Very well done.
Is it truthful? Yeah. I mean, it's goofy. It's, there's nothing, not lying about it.
Well, it's truthful, right? It's truthful to the perception of the brand.
Yeah.
And what they stand for and stand against, right? And to an audience that would say, yes, like I identify with that, right? Like I don't have a private jet. First class would be first enough for me, So yeah, I think it's truthful in that respect. Sure.
Yeah. And the motivating, I mean, you said it. I think the motivating is you're talking about it, so you're literally, in the convenience store talking, saying the line, one of the lines or any of those, what I mean? Yeah. It's getting you there, right? it's making you think about it at the very least when you're in the store, right? Because he's in the store. He's in, you know, I mean, you're seeing him with the product so often, you know, I mean, so, I like that a lot.
Yeah. And it accomplishes that overall, that whole, like, you know, the identity thing of like, they're making a stance on values and worldview. And it's something that people can very easily be like, yes, I'm into that. I'm that kind of person, or no, that's the opposite of who I am. Right. Yeah. Which again, I think just makes it more memorable, makes it more effective, and makes people go like, you know what? I don't know if I've really had high life before, but I share those values. And then the next time that they're out grabbing up a 6 or a 12 pack or whatever, they might be more likely to grab one of those. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even if it isn't your worldview, even if it isn't your, you know, if you're not the person, I think at the very least, it's still somewhat entertaining. Maybe the jokes don't land quite as much, but it's definitely something you're going to remember, right? Especially if you're, if you're like the type that they're parodying, right? Like the executives, you know, they noticed it. They're like,
oh, for sure they did. Yes,
you know?
yes.
The Jersey Shore types, you know, like, you know, so it's in, you know, it's in their heads. And, you know, I think just about anybody who drinks, I mean, maybe not, I don't know, the Frasier types. That's the only thing I can come up with. I don't know why that is in my head.
Frasier Crane
maybe isn't, but actually maybe this is why this is in my head. You know what Marty Crane drank on the show?
Oh, did he drink High Life?
High Life. I can picture it.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
Maybe I'm off. Maybe, but the cans that he always had were like gold with.
But there's a perfect example of that dichotomy, though, right?
Yeah.
The Frasier versus like his father, right? Like the father would totally be drinking the High Life. Yeah. This is the personality, right?
And Frasier and Niles were having their sherry, you know.
Yes.
Getting ready for a private
I want to watch
jet.
Frasier now.
And Marty would I can hear Marty saying half the stuff that those guys are saying, right? Like first class isn't good enough for you.
So on that, like, closing thought for me anyway. One ad that we thought about showing but we didn't was the one where Windell, the delivery guy, goes to the track. He goes to the horse race. All right. And his opening line when he's walking in is closest to the track, farthest from reality. Closest to the track, farthest from reality. They're all on they're like right on the dirt, you know.
I need to know who wrote that because that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So anyway, so kudos to everyone involved.
Did you look that up? I didn't look that up.
Yeah, I did. It actually a couple different agencies, maybe even 3. The names I saw, I think Crispin, Porter, and Boguski. Anyway, I guess they're a big deal. Yeah. And they, I think, are the ones who created the character in the campaign. And then Saatchi came along not long after and produced some of it. They may have been the people that did the Super Bowl version of it or vice versa. But yeah, there's at least 2, maybe a third along the way, which I thought was interesting that they, you know, kind of picked up on an already existing thing and then kind of like extended it in a way that you thought, okay, this is still the same, right? You're not, you know, it's kind of like different directors, I guess, you know, doing a sequel to a movie or something. It's like, oh no, it still feels like the same thing.
And that makes me wonder, how often has that happened, right? Because I genuinely don't know, where a brand has a successful campaign and then they change agencies.
But they keep the campaign.
And then they keep the campaign.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen.
It must.
Right?
I mean, but
I think that's kind of like the deal, like with Geico, right? Is that it's all Martin? Like they've been doing it since the beginning, I guess, and they still, from what I understand, still do it. But anyway, cool. We digress. Yeah. And hat tip to Windell Middlebrooks, who's no longer with us, but has left us his catalog for us to enjoy and celebrate. So,
yeah, awesome. Good call on this one.
Hey, good to be back with you.
Likewise. Absolutely. I'll see you maybe in another 6 or 8 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Peace. That's one right there.